welcome everyone. Really excited today to be able to launch our new training education pathways for coaches and match officials. My name is Neil Graham and I'm going to be taking you through some of the content today. And yeah, really excited to have you all. Been 18 months in the making, these new pathways. COVID kind of got in the way of our original launch date, which was meant to be in March. But it's an absolutely brilliant opportunity we've got today to share with you some fantastic resources that we're really pleased to announce today. And yeah, really pleased that you can join us for this really exciting session. James Wade and Colin Brett will be joining me today. So James is our coach development officer and Colin Brett is our referee development manager, and I'm Neil Graham, head of training education. So we'll be taking you through the pathways, giving you a bit of an overview of what we've done, what the proposals are, a bit of the vision, and then go into more of the detail around about the coach and match official pathways. And then I'll take you through at the end just some additional information about medical strength and conditioning and some of the leadership programs that are part of our new pathway strategy, and then look at some next steps. So if I just start from the beginning of this process, in September 2019, we launched our rugby development strategy. And at the heart of that was about building sustainable, vibrant and inclusive rugby clubs and communities. And that's at all levels of the game. Player retention, as I've highlighted in the second bullet point, was an absolute huge part for us in this strategy. And those of you who will attend some of the new courses will see that we've really emphasised the role of the coach, the match official, the volunteer in player retention, and it's a key area for our game moving forward. So we've really aligned all our new pathways to this rugby development strategy, and really tried to make it consistent with all our other programmes. We need to support and develop rugby people from the parent who helps out with the mini rugby session on a Sunday, the match official who takes to the middle or runs touch, down to the performance coach who works in our age grade programs. We're here to develop everyone, and we're looking through these programs and pathways to be very inclusive in the way we approach things. So naturally, with the current restrictions, we're able to offer a more blended model of online and practical modules, but we have some other opportunities to make our pathways much more inclusive, so that we have opportunities for more people to access them. So why have we done this? Why have we chosen this point, and why have we changed from our previous pathways? Well, when we launched the rugby development strategy, we undertook a review, and that review highlighted a few key areas for us in terms of how we could improve our current pathways. So starting at the top left there, better alignment between courses and materials. We have, as some of you will know, the technical blueprint, for example. We have areas of really important to us, such as safeguarding. And what our review showed up is that we had maybe some improvements to make in our alignment, and making sure that we were all working towards the same vision of creating a real quality game for people, and developing those environments where we can really nurture talent. We potentially had an overemphasis on assessment, certainly on course, and as you'll hear from James and Colin, we have tweaked and have updated the way we will support coaches and match officials on course, and how that assessment piece will work. But certainly we've modified that, so we're spending more time in supporting people in their own environments as well. There was a lack of clarity around minimum standards, and we've looked to update that and become very clear with our minimum standards for coaches and match officials moving forward, and you'll hear more about that later. The feedback from our review was that people had great experiences on our courses, but actually the follow-up process could be improved. So throughout our pathways, we're now looking at not just the course itself, but what happens a week, a month, a year after a course. How can we keep that ongoing development of a coach, so it's not just seen as a one day or a one evening session? We're actually looking at as a long-term development of an individual. And our pathways are built so that there's opportunities for people to drop into CPD when it suits them, and really opportunities to work around their life, if you like, in their work environments. Bottom left, around about further support and opportunities for mini and youth level. So throughout our review, we really highlighted that a lot of our programs were geared towards the adult game and above, and probably weighted too heavily towards that. So we've kept those programs in and we've evolving them, but we've also beefed up the mini and youth support for coaches, match officials in that area. So we've got new programs in our pathways to support people at those areas, and we're really excited to announce those today. Obviously, digital support and delivery came up in the review, and as we're using today, likes of Zoom and Teams, etc., are becoming really, really important in this current time. But we've also got Hive Learning. We've got other digital platforms that the review really prompted us to have a clearer vision on where our online delivery was going to sit in the years to come, and that's what we're aiming to show you today and give some more information on. And lastly, the review that we took highlighted that we needed to improve our support towards some targeted groups. So if we look at female coaches and match officials, for example, we do offer some programs, and we have in the past to some extent, but we really need to focus on those areas if we're going to make a step change in our game. So these are some of the areas that we brought up in our review, and all of the areas I've highlighted have informed our pathways moving forward, which you'll hear about in a moment from Colin and James. So the new training education pathways very much have the player experience at heart. And improving that player experience is absolutely essential to us moving forward in the game. If we improve the player experience, people are actually more likely to stay in the game, okay, and they're more likely to then become coaches, match officials, and leaders themselves once they reach that period. Like many of us, where playing is no longer an option. So very much focusing on that player experience, so more people can start, stay, and succeed in our game. And wrapped around that is our vision for a player-centered, development-driven, and competition-supported game. And you'll hear some of these words filter through some of our programs when we actually launch them. So we looked at the player and the player experience to begin with, and at the absolute core of that, we looked at what's the player journey, what's the player pathway. And this graphic on screen at the moment demonstrates a very high level kind of pathway within our game for coaches, match officials, but primarily players. And through this process, we looked at what is it at each age and stage that we're trying to achieve. So we looked back at long-term player development, we've reshaped that, and we've developed new resources to support the development of players and coaches and match officials at each age and stage. But critically at the bottom left is our player development philosophy. And that player development philosophy is about creating fun, challenging learning environments where the number one priority is what is best for each individual player in regard to their overall long-term development. And that's the center focus of all of our courses. So what does the coach or the match official or the volunteer need to understand, need to be able to do in order to provide that fantastic learning environment for the player? And that's at the center of all of our programs, and you'll see that as a common thread throughout everything that we do. Some of the core themes that run through our new programs link to the player, the game, the environment, and some strategic priorities. So for example, in the player section, safeguarding, anti-doping awareness and concussion awareness are threads that will run through all of our new programs, and some consistency there. Within the game, our blueprint is the center of that, and again, consistency of delivery across all of our programs. Respecting the game and our match officials and creating that positive environment is going to be crucial, and really heavy emphasis on that throughout our programs. And in that strategic priorities piece, I've already mentioned about player retention, and that's going to form a real central cog in a lot of our programs, particularly within the coaching programs moving forward. So that's a bit of an overview of where we are in terms of the vision of our pathways. To give you a bit more detail of the coaching pathway, I'm going to hand over to James Wade, who's going to take you through. If you have any questions at all throughout this webinar, please use the Q&A function. At the very end of the webinar, we will take some of those questions and answer them live. And if we can't answer them at the time, we'll be able to get back to individual people. So if you use the Q&A function, that'd be great to ask any questions. But for now, I'll hand over to James Wade to take you through the coach development pathway.
Excellent. Evening all. Hope everyone's keeping well. Yeah, for now, next 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to chat through some of the things we'll be bringing in for coaches. So Neil, if you want to move on. So first of all, just give you a quick overview of some things that kind of underpin the coaching pathway. First of all, we've kind of worked to map what's happened with UKCC. So as you know, UKCC kind of ceased to endorse sporting qualifications in April, but we've been working to make sure that everyone with an existing qualification can be mapped directly across. And also been working with Sports Scotland and SIMSPA, as you can see in the middle box there, who are kind of informing the coaching standards in Scotland moving forward. And we're working to accredit our advanced level course and performance level course, which will be the equivalent level 3 and level 4 on that. We're not going to use it for the first 2 level courses because, as Neil mentioned, we're de-emphasising the kind of emphasis on assessment, and we wanted to spend a bit more time just kind of work with coaches on their practice and helping them reflect. A couple of key things in terms of how the course has been structured is that we're really keen to increase the opportunities for mini coaches and youth coaches especially. And as you might know, those who've been through our UKCC courses, level 1 was centred around mini rugby, level 2 was around 15-a-side game. But we really wanted to open opportunity for coaches who really kind of were keen to stay in that kind of in a mini rugby game to kind of have the opportunities to move on and develop and improve their skills as well. As already been mentioned, we've used this opportunity to kind of move away from purely face-to-face learning to more blended approach. Again, COVID has kind of helped accelerate that, but as you'll see when we talk through the course structures, there's going to be opportunities for webinars, online discussions, digital mentoring, as well as the face-to-face pitch sessions, which will hopefully give a good balance to everyone. And also, as we mentioned with minimum standards, we're going to be introducing an accreditation scheme to make sure that all coaches are kind of up to date with all the kind of messaging and all the new trends in coaching and rugby as the game develops. So we're aiming to go for 100% of coaches to be accredited by August 2022, and in a couple of slides time I'll kind of tell you what that looks like as well. So what we have here are the 4 kind of courses that anchor our kind of pathway. Coaching Essentials, Aspiring Coaching, Advanced Coaching Program, and Performance Coaching Program. And as you kind of can see underneath, it's got the equivalents of what they were in UKCC and who these who these courses are for as well. All of them utilise a blended model, so people will be able to kind of work through stuff in their own time. Some of the webinars will be live, some things will be pre-recorded so they can watch it in their own time, and there'll be also chances for observation, mentoring. So hopefully coaches who enjoy all different types of learning will be able to really engage with it as well. Some kind of key dates to kind of highlight. The Coaching Essentials will be the first course to come online starting in the middle of next month. And then the second 2 courses, Aspiring and Advanced, will be looking in early 21, and then Performance Coaching following after that as well. So plenty of stuff to kind of get teeth into as we move on. And here's just kind of some highlights, some key things that will be the course will be kind of covering. So Coaching Essentials, as the title suggests, is all about just introduction to coaching. What does good look like? And very much keeping with the APES principle of creating active, purposeful, enjoyable, safe sessions. Really want to kind of focus on how coaches create connections, how to talk to players, how to create player-centered coach environments. Are really key things on that. Aspiring coaching as we move on. Again, just builds on. So looking at how to develop the purpose in APES, make sure we're getting really good purposeful session, coming with that stress and structure, skill development, and how to change the game and adapt to meet your players' needs. Advanced coaching, which will replace as UKCC level 3, delves into the kind of world of team coaching a bit more and season-long planning. So things such as developing environments, culture, working with other coaches, understanding your teams and players, game planning, as well as developing your core kind of coaching skills will be really brought to the fore. And our performance coaching program, which we developed with Napier University, again, kind of really looks at how high-performing coaches operate. And the key difference there, whilst previously the UKCC level 4 was predominantly for pathway coaches, this will be open for coaches who want to become high-performing in their environment. And the great thing about these, especially the first 3 level courses, they'll be open for all mini youth coaches as well as what was previously adult coaches as well. So the coach accreditation scheme, again, just to kind of provide some clarity around minimum standards and providing the best experience of players in Scotland. We're aiming to have all coaches to have one of the coaching qualifications, so whether it's previous UKCC, one of the new pathway courses, as well as Rugby Right, PVG, but also to kind of engage with one of our CPDs each season as well. And these CPDs will be developed through national webinars, regional workshops, digital mentoring for targeted groups. So there's a wide range of things that you can get their teeth into. And finally, we're also still working with World Rugby to provide supporting for coaches around strength conditioning, as well as first aids, sevens, as well as player welfare and anti-doping as well. So things that are already online, if we, for those of you who go onto your World Rugby Passport, will see new strength conditioning courses for children and youth specifically, which is kind of a bit of a shift for them, moving away from just a level 1 and level 2. Some really good material on there. And we're working with World Rugby at the moment to see how that's delivered practically and face-to-face as well as we move forward. Okay, I'll hand over to Colin Brett now, who will talk about match officiating.
Thanks, James.
Right.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along. Just spend the next 5 minutes talking about the match official development pathway and how that correlates with currently what's in place and what the future will hold for all match officials. So looking at the overview of it, the new pathway replaces the current framework that's in place. And like I said, there will be a correlation for anyone who currently holds a match official course. They will naturally transition onto the new pathway and the relevant course equivalent to what they're currently holding. There will be a new accreditation scheme, which is not dissimilar to what we currently have, but there's more opportunity for CPD sessions, etc. Delighted to say that we have a new mini referee course that's going to be replacing the current game coaching philosophies, and a really exciting time to be involved within mini rugby, and we'll discuss that in a minute. Again, similar to everywhere, we are sort of replacing things from face-to-face and having more of a blended learning approach at this current time, but also for the future, where we hope to be more technology based in terms of delivering future match official courses. And as we currently do, all courses will continue to be free of charge. The similar system that we're going to follow to keep things consistent from coaching to match officiating, 5 courses we'll be hoping to deliver. The first one being the mini refereeing course, and it has some criteria in terms of how we hope to encourage people to move into that type of match officiating. The level, or the second course, the introduction to match officiating, currently replaces our level 1 course, and we are going to be delivering that with online modules, etc., similar to the mini referee course. But the difference will be that we will cover a practical session of live rugby towards the end of it. The aspiring match official course is currently equivalent to our level 2 course that we have. Moving into the aspiring course, we'll be covering the whole wealth of things, but what we're looking for is people who have either done the old level 1 course or the introduction to match officiating course before they can step forward. The next course, the advancing your match officiating, a bit more in depth and only open to society match officials. Everything up to this point, 1, 2, and 3, is open to any match official in the country, but advancing the match officiating is very much bespokely designed for current match officials within the society ranks moving in towards the national referee panels. And the 5th course that we're having is very much based around the professional element of the game, dealing with the professional referees or people who are currently in the old level 3 course or the new advanced match official course, and who are currently officiating at the equivalent to Premiership rugby with potential to move forward. So that's the 5 courses we have. And within each one, the mini refereeing course, what's taught in the course, we're very keen to encourage the values and the ethos behind the game in terms of match officiating at that level. And the main things that we're going to be focusing on would be, as an example, the communication and continuity management. So how do we apply common sense to decisions when there's the play level, there's a lot of errors happening, but how can we encourage the flow of the game to continue in continuity, etc. We'll be encouraging referees to think about their positional play within that, and also we'll be covering all the relevant age grade law variations for each level of rugby from P7 right down to P4. The next course, the introduction to match officiating, what's going to be taught in this course is basically the how and why to referee decision making, and more about how referees would make decisions under certain criteria and certain conditions throughout the game. We'd also be looking to create a positive environment, focusing on effective communication at different times of the game, as well as covering all the technical aspects of refereeing, the laws of the game. And as I said earlier, finished off with like a day 2 part of the course where you would be practically refereeing live rugby in a controlled environment with a mentor and a referee coach or developer at that time. The aspiring match officials course, what's going to be taught in that course is more about the more in-depth elements of refereeing. So the role of the referee as a facilitator or a decision maker. We'll be covering the principles and concepts of continuity. We'll be understanding materiality of the way of the flow of the game. We'll be trying to make the referees more resilient and more confident to take to the field, as well as understanding how to manage others, whether it be players, coaches, or other spectators and themselves as an individual. The advancing match official course, what's going to be taught in that course is refereeing the 5 key areas of the game, working within a match official team, whether you be the referee or the match official, focusing on what we call contextual judgment and situational awareness and how we would deal with that, looking at some self-analysis and game reviewing, managing player behaviour, and then looking at the psychological attributes of a referee at that level. And the high performance, the performance match officiating course, there's going to be a lot more to this. It's a course that we're kind of developing at the moment or about to look into in more depth. But really what we're looking to achieve here is how to teach people how to officiate in a high pressured environment of professional rugby, etc. Really looking at the advanced elements of game analysis and how to self-coach and self-develop within that environment, along with your specific referee coach. And then we're really looking at the decision making within the professional game, as well as managing professional and high profile players. So, and following the accreditation system, very similar to what James discussed, it would be a 2-year process where they would have to update, and it would be 1 CPD module per year relevant to the level of course that you're currently on, whether it be introduction to match officiating or above. There's CPD modules that would suit that. And again, similar to what James has been saying, it would be a year-on-year process that we would be asking people to just do one, either face-to-face when it's safe to do so, or an online CPD module. So pretty exciting times for match officiating, but that's where we are at the moment and what we're looking to achieve.
Brilliant, thanks Colin and James, great updates, and thanks everyone for the questions that are coming in. We've answered a few of them live, and we'll maybe revisit a few of them at the end as well, because there's some great questions coming in, and we can certainly clarify a couple of points for people. These slides will be going up on Hive. Happy to circulate them as well, so thank you very much. Just on a couple of other areas that link to our pathways out with the core pathways of coaching and match officials, I'm just going to talk you through a couple of areas now. So CPD, continuous personal development, is going to form a huge part of our pathways moving forward. We know that qualifications like the ones James and Colin have mentioned are really important, and they're a really good catalyst for learning, but they're not the be all and end all. And what we want to really foster is a learning culture where people are dipping into CPD and undertaking CPD on a regular basis, whether that be online, whether that be through mentoring, whether it be through webinars like these, and really having a situation where clubs themselves, schools, can actually deliver CPD in-house that's accredited. So it's not always a Scottish Rugby delivered program, and that's our vision, is to really have a long-term approach to either coaches or match officials development. So some of the areas here we've talked about, we are going to launch a new webinar series for coaching soon. There's already a match official webinar series that's been undertaken in the last few weeks, which have been really well received. Moving forward, those will be targeted at different age groups, so there'll be specific ones for mini, youth, adult rugby, etc. Again, they'll be uploaded to Hive for people to observe afterwards. our new workshop program will be available in 2021. We're revising all of our practical and online modules. So they'll be linked to a revised version of the technical blueprint. So version 2 of the blueprint is coming out in the new year. And these workshops, as well as the webinars, will all be linked to that accreditation scheme that we talked about. We're giving people until 2022, August 22, to become accredited. More information will follow in the next 18 months to 2 years on that note. But there will be a requirement for people to continue their development to maintain their accreditation, which will be mandatory as of August 2022. Mentoring absolutely huge moving forward for us. We've very much focused on qualifications and CPD for the past few years, and some really good results on those. But as a number of people have fed into us, and through our own research, actually one-to-one support, group discussions, informal learning is really, really important for us. So we have some new mentoring programs to launch in the new year. And the last point in that mentoring box there is a club school developer program. I mentioned earlier on that we don't want everything to be channeled and delivered through Scottish Rugby. We want clubs and schools to take ownership of developing their own people, and we're looking to deliver and upskill people in clubs and schools to become developers. So developers is the new word we're using for educators or tutors. So a developer is someone who can develop others, either as a match official or as a coach. And that program will be kicking off next season. We'll have an application process for people to apply to become a club or school developer, and they'll be trained by us and provided with materials which they can then deliver within their club or school to parents even, and that would be counted towards CPD, which is really, really exciting. First aid and player welfare, obviously at the forefront of everything we do, and just a bit of an update on a couple of things relating to this. Our World Rugby first aid course is going to continue. We're unable to deliver that course at the moment just due to the practicalities of the course, but there are e-learning modules on the World Rugby website, which we're signposting people to. And again, the information and the web link there will go out on Hive after this. So we're encouraging people to complete that. In addition to that, and working with our medical team, we are going to launch new anti-doping courses online, but also face-to-face for coaches, players, parents, and that's coming soon. For certain levels of our game, that will start to become minimum standard over the next few years, as we look to really enhance and take a step forward in our anti-doping education. Rugby Right will be launched in November. That's in line with our Return to Rugby roadmap, so look out for further information there. That only needs to be completed every 2 years, so if you completed the Rugby Right course last year, it doesn't need to be completed this season, so it's a rolling 2-year programme. Leadership and volunteer development is almost a new strand for us, but a really exciting strand and absolutely vital to our game, and again tying it back to building those vibrant communities. We are developing a leadership academy, so myself and colleagues, Jen Griffin, who is our regional director in Glasgow South, we're developing that leadership academy at the moment with some internal and external colleagues, so that will be available for club committee members, current and future, and really look to build and develop leaders of the future for our game. We have new courses in development for mini and youth coordinators, as well as transition officers in clubs and schools. Again, if I take the mini coordinator role, for example, absolutely vital role for the game, but probably an area which we haven't provided much support in. And I think we've heard a lot from mini rugby coordinators that actually some good practice sharing sessions, some CPD would be really, really important and really valuable. So we're working on new courses for those, and again, they'll be available in the new year. The Director of Rugby course has been delivered for the past 4 seasons now, and we've updated that. That will become available in the new year again, updated content, and we're also looking to accredit that again, linking to the CIMSPA accreditation process that James talked about before, and there's maybe an opportunity to actually gain some accreditation from that course. More and more directors of rugby are coming into clubs. It's a relatively new role in terms of our whole game. So we're looking to support that role, bring a bit of clarity about what that role is, and provide some guidance on key responsibilities of that role. So tying all this together and all of our pathways is a new and updated Scrum system. So our Scrum system has been in now for a couple of seasons from a player registration perspective. It's where players' team sheets from games. It's where we host injury reports, for example. We're updating it at the moment so that in the new year, qualifications, accreditation status, certificates, booking process will be all filtered through our Scrum system. So to book onto courses at the moment, you just go through our website, and I'll give more details of that in a moment. But in the future, actually, it will be through Scrums that you'll undertake that booking. And that will allow clubs and schools at a click of a button to look at all their coaches or match officials, both see who's qualified, see who's accredited or not accredited, and it'll be live data. So as soon as someone completes a qualification, immediately it will upload onto Scrums, and that person's profile will be accurate. So again, we're really helping the whole system hopefully becoming a lot more easier to manage in our club and school game, and it's a really good resource. The second thing we're doing is linking it to Hive. So at the moment, they're two separate systems. We're actually going to have an API across, a link across between the two systems, so that when someone completes a module, let's say Rugby Right on Hive, it will then automatically tell Scrums that that person has completed the course, and will update their accreditation status. So the link between the two systems is going to become very, very close, and again just help that process of managing our accreditation processes moving forward. So more information to come in the new year on this, but we are at a testing stage at the moment, and it's coming on really well. So again, a really exciting development for our new pathways. So next steps, course dates that James and Colin mentioned for the entry-level courses. So for coaching essentials, introduction to match officiating, and mini rugby referee courses, those entry-level courses, we have dates available now on the website, and that link is live, and actually we're open to bookings as of now. Other courses, so the second and third layer of courses, the dates for those will be published soon for the new year, all delivered via a blended model of online and practicals. What we're going to do from here is, obviously this webinar has been recorded. It will be put on the website tomorrow, along with a web article about the new pathways. All this information will go up on Hive Learning and in Club Comms. Who's the ref? There'll be an update on that for all referees as well. And then we're also looking to put out a letter to all coaches and match officials that we have information on, just to confirm their status. So for example, the letter will to all UKCC level 1 coaches, for example, will just confirm that that UKC level 1 is still valid, and there's no need to undertake the equivalent course, which is coaching essentials. So we'll just confirm that, and also promote the new pathways in terms of what the next steps are. So those letters will be coming out in the next few weeks to people, and obviously advertise the new courses as and when appropriate. Obviously, just a nod on the right hand side to some of our partners in this process, particularly at the top there, Sport Scotland. We've really collaborated closely with Sport Scotland, as James has mentioned, on the qualification design and the wider Scottish governing body review of UKCCs, particularly in coaching. But also Sport Scotland offer a lot of support financially to us. They subsidise a lot of our courses, and we wouldn't be able to offer the courses at the rate we do, particularly in coaching, without the support of Sport Scotland. So huge thanks to them and the rest of our partners. So that's all from a presentation point of view. I'm just going to stop sharing this screen and just go across to the Q&A, really, to see if we've got any questions that we could answer live. James, I don't know if you've got anything that you'd like to pick out of the questions that have come in.
Yeah, just to re-clarify that all UKCC qualifications will map across. So as mentioned, there's no requirement to, if you've got UKCC level 1, to do coaching essentials. likewise, if you want to book on there again, there's no reason to stop you as well, because all the materials are outdated. Also, we have got, is there a degree of discretion for new coaches between starting to coach and attending a course? Is what we suggest is just kind of in your own time when you're ready, come on board. There'll be a number of courses running throughout the year. So when you start coaching, have a go, find your feet, and then when you come on course, you've got a bit of experience to kind of like refer to and reflect on when you come on course, as was the case with UKCC level 1 as well. It was a case of just finding your feet, and then hopefully we can add to that and build up your kind of confidence and experience on that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, James. And I think once we get into past August 2022, there will be a short window, where people, if they're starting new coaching, let's say in the November period, there'll be a period of a couple of months for people to still be able to coach without accreditation. But that there'll be a definitive timeline before they need to actually gain that accreditation. But we're running a lot of courses, so that there'll be courses on a monthly basis for people to obviously attend, and as long as someone is in the process of gaining accreditation, that will be sufficient for people to be able to be active. Same goes for match officials, although match officiating, obviously you do need to have a qualification right now, as soon as competitive season starts, and there'll be as always been a requirement to be qualified and have completed rugby right as well. I guess a question here about World Rugby qualifications relating to new levels. James, you answered that really well, and we are working with World Rugby, and there is an equivalency process in terms of what does the coaching essentials link across to, for example, and we'll be working with World Rugby in the next few months to publish an updated equivalency paper. But they very much link across, as James has said, and there won't be any mismatches. We'll also, for people who are maybe have undertaken World Rugby coaching qualifications in different countries, we'll have a matching process for people coming to Scotland in terms of what the equivalent is over here. So we'll communicate that in due course. Colin, I don't know if there's anything from a match officiating point of view maybe want to highlight at all?
Yeah, there's quite a good question here from an anonymous. Where does assistant refereeing fit within the pathway? Really good question. In terms of assistant refereeing, the introduction to match officiating actually covers the specific laws around the ball and touch and kicks at goal, etc. So it would be within the introduction course, but also in terms of the advanced match officiating course, there would be the elements there of working within a team of 3. Because it is assistant refereeing as such, there would be certain criteria that you would have to know as a referee before you kind of stepped into assistant refereeing, or at least have the knowledge of. You wouldn't have to specifically referee prior to it, but you would have to have the knowledge of refereeing a game in terms to be the assistant referee. So it is within the introduction course and also the advanced match officiating course for working within a team of 3. So there is opportunities there. And also part of that, Neil, is someone's asking there, the same person's asking, should someone decide that they want to become an assistant referee or a TMO in the future, is that built in? Beyond it, the TMO stuff isn't built in until the performance course, which is the 5th course in total. But that's because it's only dealing with professional rugby at that point. So it's not built in any earlier.
Great, thanks, Colin. Yeah, that's great. A couple of more questions come in, and some really good ones. Just looking down here around about a couple of people asking if they can host a coaching course at their own club. I guess for the moment, just due to restrictions, we've chosen to run similar to match officiating courses. The online modules will be delivered on a regional basis. So as you'll see on the website, if you click through, there are, for example, the Coaching Essentials course has 6 separate start dates for the Coaching Essentials course in each region. So plenty of opportunity for people to attend, but we aren't in a position to be able to offer each club their own online module 1, for example. Capacity is quite high on these online modules, so we have enough capacity to deal with the demand in each region. moving forward and hopefully post COVID, when we can actually get out and about and deliver the practical elements and maybe look to deliver the whole courses practically, yes, there then may be an opportunity, but to deliver at a specific course, but that probably won't be likely until season 21-22 at the earliest at this stage. James, is there anything else you picked up?
Just looking across here. No, I think we've covered most of them there.
Brilliant.
A lot of match officiating ones, pretty.
Yeah. There's a few, a couple of people, Neil, are asking regarding referee coaching, match official coaching. We are planning on developing a pathway at this time, but it will probably be season 21-22 before we get that up and running. We do have some courses currently in place under the old pathway, if we can call it that. But we will be developing new courses along with the SRRA to get the best feel for what's required within that. So yeah, the answer is yes. And one more from Stephen Black, which I think is a really good question. Will referee coaches help guide match officials through the process to accreditation under the new system? The answer is yes, but only in the advanced match officiating course. So specifically for society match officials, that we would be having almost a mentoring process for these people, because the level, the advanced match officiating course will probably be a season long. So it will require ongoing CPD as well as ongoing mentoring and also coaching with a specific core group of individuals to help the individuals achieve that accreditation. So yes, Stephen, it will, but only at that level.
Right. Great, thanks, Colin. One last one from me. Just it's a really good question again about accreditation and probably the scrums side of things. So it's around about how will you know when your accreditation is up? Will you have to recall it? Will you have to recall when Rugby Right is needing to be completed? The answer is when Scrum's system is up and running, it will be automated. So a coach or a match official will get notification that their accreditation is about to lapse for whatever reason. It might be that they need to complete Rugby Right again, or that they need to have done the CPD module, and there'll be a notification at different points in the build up to that. So it won't be down to the individual to recall what date their accreditation was gained. The system will actually automate that for us. Hopefully, I'm not an IT developer, but that's what we're building in, which is great. And I think that kind of ties off hopefully a lot about the accreditation elements. So I think we've got a few other questions here that are quite specific. So we'll maybe just take some of these offline, and we've got people's emails who have asked the questions, and we'll put an FAQ. We'll add them to an FAQ document that we can send out to everyone. We have got some specific FAQs on the web pages. They're available now to download and link to each course. So please have a look at those. But we'll answer every single one of these questions that you've put in here and send out an FAQ in the coming days. But thank you very much for dialing in to this session. We've had really good attendance tonight from a wide spread of the game, which is absolutely brilliant. So we're really excited to share this with you, and really hope that some of you can obviously spread the message and help us reach everyone in our game. All the information will be going out tomorrow and Friday in different communications online and at Hive, etc. So there'll be quite a lot of information coming out for people to dip into. And obviously this webinar is being recorded, and we'll get that up online as soon as we can edit it. So thanks very much. Have a good evening all. I hope everyone's safe and well, and look forward to seeing you all soon, hopefully face to face. Thanks again, and have a good evening.